New York City, a fifth migrant is released without bail after they were accused of beating an NYPD officers, actually two of them. Our next guest, who visited the border recently, just subpoenaed HHS Secretary Becerra for data on unaccompanied minors crossing the border. We've lost track of a lot of them. House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan. Congressman, it's so easy to get lost in all the problems with the broken border, but let's begin with what you want to focus on, and that's the unaccompanied minors. Where are they?
Yeah, thousands of kids that we've lost track of. Just one of the many problems, with the Biden administration and the way they have let our border become a completely open border. So, look, there's three things we got to do now. I think we got to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. That came through committee, Chairman Green's committee. I think we have to put on the appropriation bills, the bills that fund the government. We have to put a simple sentence. Time out on all this. No money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrants. When you're on pace to get to 12 million people in Biden's presidency, you should probably say time out. 3 years and 12 days into the Biden administration, over 8 million have come in. Maybe we should just stop and say, if you're coming for asylum, we're not going to let you in. We're going to call a timeout on this. I think that's the most important thing we get on any type of appropriation bill. And then, of course, the ultimate objective here is not objective, but the way you deal with this is you get a new president who will actually enforce the law like President Trump did just a few years ago.
But just play that out. They'll say, no, we're not going to do that. We don't have the planes. We can't do that. And then you'll end up in a stare down and a government shutdown again, right?
Well, for the first time, you got Democrats and you got every single state who knows that this is a huge problem. What was the polling in Iowa and New Hampshire? Like 8 out of 10 Republicans call it a crisis. A bunch of independents and several Democrats think the same thing. So when you got a problem this broad, I think when you make it that clear, why don't we just call a timeout? Because everyone gets that, particularly moms in Brooklyn who were told just a few weeks ago, hey, your kids got to stay home and learn remotely while we put migrants in the school building that your taxpayer dollars paid for. That's pretty crazy. So if you make this real simple, I think we can win that debate because it's just, again, common sense.
You know, the other thing is, Congressman, you should keep in mind, the one consistent thing that's happening in all these cities, they put the illegal immigrants in working class communities. They take over schools. They don't put them in rich people areas, like Martha's Vineyard. They make sure they go into working class areas because they don't have the voice. You have to give them that voice. Speaking of working class and beautiful communities, that's what East Palestine is, and it's been sullied by that chemical spill. And for the first time, the president says he plans on going there. Here's his press secretary saying this is not a stunt. Watch.
Next month, when the president is in East Palestine, will he drink the water there?
I mean, look, what I can tell you is the president's focus has been to do everything that he can to support this community from day one. We get what's going on the ground. You know, this is not about some sort of political stunt here.
So it's not about a political stunt. Okay, you represent Ohio. Tell me, is this a stunt?
Well, yeah, she said his focus is to support this community. Well, it's a little late now. Why didn't you show up a year ago? I mean, this is all about politics. I think it's more about Pennsylvania politics. East Palestine is right on the line, the Ohio-Pennsylvania line. I think it's about Pennsylvania. Well, President Trump won Ohio by 8.5 points in 16 to 20. He's going to win Ohio again. This is about Pennsylvania, the biggest electoral prize in the 7 states that actually now determine who's going to be president of the United States. So I think it's about that. This is a total political stunt, but frankly, it's a year late coming to the good people in our state who had to deal with this tragedy.
Right. You are dealing with that. The other thing is, what do they need? You know, instead of just showing up and hugging it out, what do they need? I mean, how do you get their property values back? Can their kids use the water fountain? Can you actually drink the water and shower there? What do they need? Do you know?
Great question. Now, the governor and local officials say the water is fine, so that's great. But what I know is showing up in the middle of the crisis when it's actually happening is pretty darn important for people in positions of influence. And President Trump was there. I think this is where he bought everyone Big Macs after he's out there talking with the people in that community. The mayor has said, you know, thank goodness President Trump came. That's when we actually started getting some results and some help. Now that Joe Biden's going to come a year later, I think the American people and the people in East Palestine see it for what it is.
Between the tax plan, between your appropriations bills, between illegal immigration and everything else going on, man, you got your hands full, Congressman. Thanks for the quality time. Appreciate it.